Remember, my excellent drivers, you are responsible for the safe use of your vehicle and abiding by the state or territory rules that you are driving in, and that, of course, includes mobile phone usage.
Welcome to the Learn to Drive podcast. I'm your host, Liz Lafferty, and I'm here to guide you through the twists and turns of learning to drive with a few laughs along the way. So whether you're a newbie trying to figure out why the car keeps beeping at you, or a seasoned road warrior who still can't parallel park without causing a minor traffic jam, I've got you covered. So buckle up, check those mirrors, and let's hit the road to becoming a more confident and happier driver. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Art of Confident Driving. I hope you're all doing well. So today I'm going to tackle the nasty topic of failing. I know it's not a pleasant thought, but hey, it does happen. So I figured I'd give you all the tips and hints that I can to hopefully stop that, and let's figure out if we did fail, why. But I'm really hoping, strangely enough, that you do listen to this before you fail, because my first tip is an important one. All right, guys, so the first tip I'm going to give you is you need to present with somebody who can help you if you do fail to understand why. So I do see a lot of applicants come to the test centre. Obviously, I'm there with my student, but I do see a lot of parents or brothers or sisters or cousins or friends turn up with the test applicant. And the catch is, if they fail, is the brother there? Because a lot of the time I see the person who they turned up with, I see the test applicant go out on the test, and whoever they've gone with, they've walked away. So when they come back from the test early, they're just, that poor test applicant who's failed, they're standing there on their own trying to understand why they failed. And believe me, you're not in a great emotional state to be understanding things like that. So my first tip would be, look, take someone up who can be with you and stay with you and help you if something does go wrong. So, you know, I go up there with my students. Yes, I might pop briefly to the shopping centre to use the facilities in there, and then I'm straight back. So I'm back in there within 5 minutes, and I'm certainly there when the test returns to find out how they went. So yeah, when you do get the result, you want someone there with you, not to be aggressive or anything like that towards the tester, but just to understand what went wrong and how to fix it, hopefully. Well, actually, how to fix it, you listen to me. The tester won't tell you. The tester should just tell you what went wrong, okay? So yeah, take someone you trust with you. And of course, if you are taking a professional instructor, they should be there when you return, all right? All right, so now let's talk about the main reasons people fail, certainly here in Australia, and I'm sure a lot of the places around the world. So the first reason people fail that I've seen, certainly in New South Wales and in Queensland, where I've tested in both states, speed. Yes, folks, speeding is always the quickest way to fail a test. So the speed limit is the speed limit. It is not the goal. My recommendation, as always, is to sit just a little bit under, not too much. Because strangely enough, yes, folks, you can fail for going too slow. So please practice before you get to the test how to maintain a nice constant speed. Now, if you're finding you are struggling with maintaining a constant speed, look, I have given all of my hints, tips and procedures on how to maintain a constant speed on lesson 22, Hills and Bends, of the subscriber area. So please feel free to go listen to that. I've also got a lovely video showing one of my students how to do the hills and bends and how to maintain a constant speed. So that would be my first recommendation, is learn how to do a constant speed. Keep the speed under the speed limit, not on the speed limit. The next thing people get failed for that I have seen is stop signs. Yes, folks, stop signs. I know, aren't they annoying and frustrating? But guess what? They're there for a reason, okay? They are there to keep you safe. So if you don't obey that road rule, if you don't stop at the stop line, that is going to be a fail. So please, if you're not certain why you should stop, then why don't you take a listen to my stop sign lesson, which is number 13 on my subscriber area, lesson 13. I describe in detail stop signs, what to do, what to look out for, and why you should come to a complete and dead stop. So there's my hint for that one. Another reason that a lot of applicants fail is, of course, going through traffic lights when they probably should be stopping. So there is a procedure that the examiners are looking for. There is a certain way that we need to see that you're approaching traffic lights. So again, I'm going to give you a little bit of my tip, which is coming out of lesson 26, my traffic lights episode. Yellow doesn't mean go faster. Okay, so please, if you're not certain what the procedure is, I explain it in great detail in our traffic lights episode, lesson 26. Another main reason people fail is giving way incorrectly. So there are two versions to that. Now, giving way incorrectly could mean that you are pulling out in front of a car that you should have waited for. So in other words, you're going to annoy that other driver. You shouldn't be doing that. Well, not necessarily fail, but it would depend on how close. So that is a judgment call by the examiner and also the reaction of the other driver. So again, it's not black and white. It's got to, we're looking at the situation to see how dangerous was that. So if it was mildly dangerous, it may just be a point. But if it was, the other driver really had to do evasive maneuvers or go heavy on the brake, well, then you absolutely expect to fail for that one. Now, the good news is I've made that a free episode for everybody to listen to. So that is, of course, my Give Way Basics episode. So please go and find that one. And I talk through giving way basics, how to give way, when we should give way, and how to find those gaps. Now, the other time that you can fail for giving way is, of course, giving way unnecessarily. So if you're constantly coming to a give way situation and you are always stopping or stopping for too long or missing some really nice, comfortable gaps, then we're going to be thinking, well, this person, they're not confident with their choices, so they're just going to slow down the flow of traffic. So that could yet again be another reason you could fail. Now, in all truthfulness, both myself and the examiners say this all the time. If you are not certain, don't go. But if you're not certain at every intersection, then wow, that is a big, big problem, isn't it? Okay, so again, we need to work on these things before attempting the test. All right, another couple of reasons that people can fail the test is not staying in their lane, and it's certainly in multi-lane roundabouts where you've got another vehicle that could potentially be next to you and you're, zipping in and out of your lane a little bit because you're, again, not confident with your car control or you don't have the correct skills. Now, again, I've given that multi-lane roundabouts on lesson 30. So if you want to find out really how to take the roundabouts correctly, that would be a really good start. The other thing you need to worry about, of course, is your road signs and markings. Again, that is a really important thing to look out for and to know about, because how are you going to obey the road rules if you're not looking out for them? Okay, so again, I've spoken about road signs and markings on lesson 28 in the subscriber area. You could also listen to my mini lesson, Spiral Roundabouts. I do talk about that spiral roundabout for free. It's another one of my free episodes. But it can be tricky to navigate a multi-lane roundabout. So again, you've got to have these skills down pat before you attempt the test. You don't want to be thinking, goodness, how do I take this as you're in the middle of a test situation? Another thing that people can get failed for, although it does take a little bit more of a dangerous situation to put us in the fail section, but that can be either merging or lane changing. So again, we do give a bit of leeway here, but again, just like I spoke about in the giveaway episode, you're required not to annoy the other drivers around you when you are the one who is meant to be giving way. So if you're lane changing or certainly merging on a motorway, which our test area does as well, which a lot of people get surprised at, yeah, again, you could fail if you're not doing the correct procedure and you're certainly not giving way correctly. So again, I've spoken about that. We've got the slip lane lesson number 32. We've got motorway driving, lesson 41, and aren't I nice? I've given you guys motorway merging as a free episode. So again, that's a really important one. I do recommend that. So if you really want to know some good tips for motorway merging, I've given quite a few ones. But of course, my full lessons, I go into a lot more detail and give you my best tips to tell you how to do pretty much everything to do with driving. Now, of course, indicating, checking your blind spots. I mean, these are all things that it's unlikely you'll fail on. But if you do the mistake too many times, then we're like, well, you've missed checking your blind spot 5 times. You obviously don't know how to check a blind spot or what a blind spot is. So sorry, buddy, we're going to fail you. So they are the points that accumulate and then eventually end up failing you. So they're not an automatic fail, certainly not here in Queensland or New South Wales or most of the Australian states, but it can add up. So if you do it too often, then we're like, no, you've done it too many times. You haven't indicated, in 5 or 6 situations when you should have. You need to do better. So again, indicating, blind spot checks, they are important. All right, so there are a few other little ones that, cause a fail on the exam. Right turn at lights, that's a big one. The 3-point turn, oh my goodness, mounting a curb, we don't do that, people. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of people I know are scared of even touching the curb on a reverse park. Look, in New South Wales and in Queensland, now, again, the New South Wales rules could have changed, but I doubt it. It has been 20 years since I've tested down there. But as far as I'm aware, as long as you give the curb a little bit of a kiss, it's usually only a point, okay? It's not a fail. But mounting a curb, yeah, that's usually a fail. So again, you got to have good car control. And of course, I've spoken about that plenty of times in all of my lessons. But if you really want to have good slow speed car control, that would be lesson 11 on the subscriber area. I also do have videos of 3-point turns that you can watch on the webpage. So yeah, feel free to go check that out. So all of the things I've spoken about so far, they're all technical things. So they're, things to do with the vehicle or what you're doing. What I'm going to say next is literally half the test, and it's mental. Half of the test is your mental attitude. If you're going into the test going, oh, gee, I'm not ready, guess what? It'll come through. If you're going into the test saying, man, I got this sorted, again, who likes an arrogant driver? Not many people. So that would also come through in your driving. But the other thing is, it's preparing for somebody to observe you while you're on the test. Okay, so that's why it's probably a good idea to go seek a quality professional driver trainer, a really good driving instructor, to help you out. And don't do it the day before the test, guys. You don't have enough time to fix any mistakes. So I recommend 1-2 weeks before your test at the minimum. Go have a lesson, see what you need to work on, and that way you've got plenty of time to practice. Okay? Now, again, you've got to go in with the right attitude. If you've got your good car control, you know how to obey the road rules, you should be fine. Remember, the examiner does want you to pass. They don't particularly want to fail you. But having said that, they can't let people out on the road who are unsafe. I know a lot of people have failed the test and they've taken it quite personally and they've blamed the examiner. But come on, guys, the examiner wasn't the one taking the test. They were just the one observing you. So I understand how frustrating it is to fail. I really do. I've seen it over the years. Now, the good news is that you've been through the test once before, so therefore you know what's going to happen, or at least you've got a good idea, okay? But in between your first fail and your second attempt, that should really be the time where you guys are focusing on, well, what did I do wrong and how can I correct it? Okay? Getting into the good habits, making sure it doesn't happen again. But as I said, half of the test is mental. So if you walk in there and your nerves are overwhelming you, well, again, that's going to show up in the driving, and worse still, it could give you a brain freeze. And it has absolutely broken my heart to see a couple of my students do that. I mean, most of my students pass on the first attempt and half of them with a perfect test score. So I do make sure that they are well above test standard. but sometimes the nerves just get to them. So you need to be well rested, you need to be well hydrated, you need to be in the right frame of mind to go, look, this is just a nice drive with a stranger. I can do this. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. Okay? So please, whatever you do, don't put extra pressure on yourself by saying, I need to pass this test. You don't. The world will not end if you don't pass. Yeah, it's going to be inconvenient that you didn't get through the first time, but look, it is an opportunity to let's find out what went wrong and let's fix the mistakes. So, of course, the last thing I'm going to say about this is you really do need to familiarise yourself with the test centre. You don't necessarily need to know the roads because really good drivers should be able to be taken on any roads and be able to deal with whatever situation is out there. And quite frankly, I know here in Queensland, the examiners can pretty much take you anywhere. So there are no pure defined test courses. They can take you anywhere. So that's the other thing. You've got to be prepared for anything. And a good driver shouldn't have a problem with that, right? A skilled driver, a confident driver, a driver who knows what they're doing, shouldn't have a problem with them taking you off test course, as the old saying would go. So yeah, please at least familiarise yourself with the test centre so you know where to park on the day, so you know if there are any funny little weird things, if you're near a shopping centre, which a lot of test centres are, you know, is there a bad section that you don't want to go near? The examiners, I'm sure, will keep you away from that, but just, you know, familiarise yourself with at least that immediate test centre area, and that will make you feel better. The other thing, of course, you can do is go listen to my 2 previous episodes, Driving Test Tips 1, Driving Test Tips 2. And here in Queensland and New South Wales, look, let's just call it Australia-wide and probably New Zealand as well. I've also spoken about what happens test day. Okay, so that's probably going to be applicable to most other places as well. So feel free to go listen to those episodes. But look, if you really want to know what a test looks like, I do have mock tests up on my subscriber area. So if you do want to see what a test would look like, feel free to go have a look at those. They're not free, they are subscriber though. So look, it's worth it, guys. I've kept it quite cheap so that everybody can go take a watch and take a listen to my lessons so that you are confident in knowing what to do come test day, because as we all know, nobody wants to fail. And to you guys who have failed, I'm so sorry, guys. I know it's not fun, but think of it as a learning portion of driving, right? We needed to get a little bit better on some things, to pay a bit more attention to others. So don't let it bug you. Just learn from it. Any mistakes you make on the road, please just learn from them, okay? Don't just go, oh, I fell apart, that was the end of it. No. Why did I fall apart? Well, this happened, right? So try and analyse it. And if you're struggling with that, go find a professional who can help you out with that, okay? All right, my friends, please stay safe. Take it easy, relax, and enjoy the drive. I'll catch you next time.
And my full driving lessons are available on Apple Podcasts and the artofconfidentdriving.com website, where you will get access to instructional videos. Remember to relax and enjoy the drive. See you next time.